Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's another big day here at PAC 14. We have a man from our community who has his input on so many people. It's unbelievable. He's got 160 people out at Lower Shore Enterprises that he works with every day. He's on our school board. 14,500 kids rely on his decisions. Bill Turner, welcome.
Thanks, Greg. It's great to be here.
I know it sounds like you've got a lot, and you play a part in all that.
I do, yeah.
But you are a new member on this school board.
I am, and I did want to say one thing, that I'm going to talk about myself. I don't speak for the school board.
Right.
Yeah.
It's awkward to get a school board member on here. I think I've had Joe Ollinger, but that was really the only school board member I've had, because they like to keep to themselves in terms of who's vocalizing the issues.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was important as a new school board member to come in and talk about some of the things I've noticed in that 4 months that I've been a school board member. And there's a lot going on in the school system. There's a lot to talk about.
Well, you went through a completely unique process. Historically, the school board people, the applicants, have applied with the governor, through the central committees, or directly to the governor. The governor's made the pick. You went through a county council process that had a lot of people, lots of vetting. How did that go for you?
It was really an interesting, and I think a good process. The county council nominated a group to look at resumes. We had to submit a resume, make an application. And then we had an opportunity to speak publicly, briefly, and then listen to the community feedback. And then there was an interview process with that committee, and then again with the school board, with the county council.
Right.
So it was a very interesting process. I thought it was very positive. They really, I think, got to hear a little bit of everything from across the community. And
that was an interim process, and now in November, we're going to have an elected school board for the first time ever.
That's right, and that's going to be very interesting. One of the things we are talking about is that all of the school board members are going to be elected at the same time, which in hindsight, maybe I think they might have staggered that.
That's a mistake, yes.
Yeah, but I think they're going to fix that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be important to have some people run who have experience, and maybe some new faces too. We'll see.
Yeah, you need some guidance from people who've been there before,
right,
and can explain to you why we're in a position we are, as opposed to hearing it from the administrators.
Exactly, yeah. I agree with that.
Are there going to be partisan elections in November?
No.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's no primary in June.
Correct.
Just everyone will run in November, and they follow the same districts as the county council.
Yes.
So, and plus 2 at large?
That's correct, yeah.
Right. So you'll have 1 from your district and 2 people that represent you at large if you're a citizen of the county.
That's right, yeah.
So what district do you live in?
District 3.
District 3, and that is where?
It's the southeastern part of Wicomico County, parts of Fruitland, the part of the city of Salisbury, but mostly south and east of Route 50 and Route 13.
So it's Larry Dodd's county council district that you're in?
Right.
Yeah. So are you going to run?
I am going to run. Thank you for asking. And I've had a lot of conversations the last 4 months.
You're the first declared candidate.
Well, no, I think Don and Jean Malone.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
It
was in our paper, yes.
Yeah. But they're running at large.
Right.
And I'm going to run in my district. So, yeah, I'm very excited about it. And I had to think long and hard about it and make sure everybody was on board in my family, and also at Lower Shore Enterprises that the board supported my efforts to do so. And
right.
It's kind of important for us too, because I don't represent this group of people, but to have somebody who has at least a small amount of knowledge about special needs students, something that we really care about a great deal. And I can at least ask questions on the school board and keep my eyes open about a lot of those issues that affect them.
What has been your sense, just entering this thing, how good is our system?
I think the system's very good. I'm also, so far, I think Donna Hanlon was a very strong hire. I know she's just been in the job for a short period of time, but the things I hear her say and the things she's presented to us, I've been very positive about. And I think she has a vision, and that's what we need, I think, in our our county for the schools to try to take us into that next decade.
Right.
And we have a lot of challenges as a school board, and I think Donna's trying to address those. So.
And her vision is really focused on the curriculum.
It is, and there's so much going on from a curriculum standpoint. One of her big efforts this coming year is going to be pre-K for everyone.
Right.
We've done some small amounts of that through grants at selected schools, and I think she's going to. She's announced it, but I think formally it's going to come out, and it's going to need some funding. But the jury is not out on that anymore. Pre-K and bringing students ready to learn is sort of the term that they use in education. Is very, very important. Those students end up performing so much better when they've had that early intervention from an academic standpoint. The school board, the school system tests the students as they come into kindergarten, and the most recent testing that they had last year, only a third of the students come in are what we call ready to learn.
Right.
They're at the point where they're ready to not just do basic things, but actually start performing and achieving a little bit.
It was about 70% were not ready,
That's correct.
which just stunned me.
It should be the opposite
Right.
of that. I mean, it should be
Right.
70 ready and maybe 30 that have some challenges they need to deal with. So that's a really big effort, and I think that's what Dr. Hanlon is looking towards. And as a school board member, I'm very excited about that, but we're going to need some help from the county council and our legislators to make that happen.
Yeah, I get the sense that the county council and the county executive recognize this, they understand it, and I think they approve of it. It's a matter of how much they're going to be able to fund it, I guess, is the question.
That's right.
Or how much you can fund it.
Exactly. And I think part of that too is recently the school board has gone through extended efforts to communicate better with the county council. So we do meet in work sessions regularly during the year and to talk about what they're going to be seeing from our budget and needs, capital needs, et cetera, during the year. So there's a lot better communication, I think, than maybe has been in the past.
Right. Now, last year they only funded the maintenance of effort, and the state has a number that's based on some kind of a formula about how much every county should spend on education, so that counties can't lowball their education spending.
Right.
But our county council, county executive only funded the maintenance of effort number.
That's right. And I think that we were very modest in the request last year. I wasn't on the school board at the time. But I think that, we asked for just a little bit more than that, and they ended up funding most of what we were asked for. But I will say that in the last 8 years, our school board has been underfunded. And I'm not suggesting we should just throw money at the problem, but right now we bring in from the county, our appropriation from the county is $6 million less than what it was in 2010. That's a really significant number, and there's no other department in the county that has had that kind of a decrease.
That kind of
If
a
any
cut.
decrease, yeah.
Right.
Most of them have gone up significantly in those 7 years. So I do feel that we need some more funding. We have some capital needs. We're going to have some program needs. But I also don't think that we should just throw money at the problem. Just here's $6 million more, fix the problem. I believe Dr. Hanlon has a vision for that, and she's going to be announcing that over the next couple of years, and we're going to be making requests, and there's going to be a need there. So.
Last year, as a reporter, it was the most fascinating budget I've ever covered, ever, because the county executive had a number in his head. At his own budget hearing, teachers got up and wanted some things. There's the laptop carts and
Right.
some school chalkboard, not chalkboard, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's just all
Whiteboards.
the whiteboard systems. And the executive was like, "You need to go get that from the school board. That's who should have funded that." Well, the school board's budget had already been done, and then the county council, in the end game of the budget, was able to fund $600,000 that the school board had, or the teachers had wanted from that hearing, kind of making the county executive look bad to a degree, but also actually stepping up and helping the school system.
Well, and it was needed, and I'm glad they funded that request. So it was really important to do.
Yeah, but that's not the way you want to do it every year.
No, no, and we're just starting our budget process. I think in the next 30 days,
Right.
we're going to be having a number of work sessions, and we have some for the new board members, of which I'm one. We're going to do a little bit of an analysis this week, and one of the things I sort of promoted in my application was that I'm a CPA, and I at least bring some financial knowledge to the system, but it's a very, very big system. One of the things I think I was most pleasantly surprised about was the amount of transparency that they offer. The financial statements that we have received a number of awards for their transparency. If you looked at it, it weighs like 3 pounds. There's 120 some pages in it. Anything financially you want to know about the school board is in there, and not all school boards do that.
Really? And it's all online. You can find all of it.
Exactly. And it's they received 2 really special awards for their transparency. Also, we just finished up the current years, and there were no management comments. Usually an accounting firm that does the audit will look at weaknesses and also make comments about improvements they'd like to see. They had no comments for us this year, and that's pretty rare, and we're all very excited about that. And it's just the high level of competency among the accounting staff and the finance staff in the school system.
I still think they need to telegraph some of the details better, because I know when you go out socially and anecdotally, there's 2 things out there that I hear all the time that I'm asked to defend or explain.
Right.
One is the school board's so poor, they don't have any money, but wait, they found $1 million for the Choices Academy. You know, how did they do that? Now, I understand how they did it.
Right.
It's all there, you can see it.
Right.
But somehow that message didn't get out that people could anticipate that $1 million is going to be needed for choices. And then the other one was when they moved the school board 2 years ago, the actual building.
Yes.
You know, like, oh, we can't afford to fix this building up, and it's run down, and we have to go somewhere else, and it was all this debate. But then suddenly they're able to rent space and pay for that. And people, I think, were perturbed by that a little bit, because that hadn't been telegraphed. As a board member, how can you stop that kind of stuff from happening?
I think just better communicating with the public, and we can always do a better job of that. I think that was a little bit of a surprise for most of the public. I was not on the school board at the time, but it certainly made me kind of raise an eyebrow
Right.
and say, I wonder what's going on with that. But it comes down to a pure financial decision there. And they were spread over a number of different buildings. So there was a consolidation
Right.
of offices.
And the idea then was they were going to fix up East Salisbury as an administrative building.
Right.
Bob Culver wanted them to go in the old Bennett Middle building.
Right.
So I guess maybe maybe it's a transitional spot now.
It is. The old school board building on...
where you still meet.
Right, on Long Avenue is mixed uses. There's a number of departments still over there. So I don't think we've really signed off on any official changes to that building. So there are other greater needs from a capital standpoint right now. Beaver Run is coming up for a replacement or major renovation. There's some, we're looking at Fruitland Primary, really needs, I mean, my kids went there 25 years
Right.
ago, and it was old then.
Right.
And we just did some walkthroughs as parts of the new members of the board went through the capital improvement plan, and you get to go into the schools and really see what they're talking about.
And Fruitland, in terms of performance, is one of the best performing schools in the county.
It is, yes. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Now, you mentioned Beaver Run. People keep telling me there's going to be a big fight about Beaver Run, but I've been out there and walked through Beaver Run, and there should be no fight.
Right.
It should be bulldozed tomorrow. I mean, it's really bad out there.
Well, and here's the thing about it. I think I hear general comments, or I read comments in the paper of, I really don't have a taste for that, or I don't want to hear about that. But there's a huge need there. And one of the things that you hear from the Chamber of Commerce, Greater Salisbury Committee, SWES, Salisbury Wycomico Economic Development, is that when new businesses come to town, the first thing they look at are the schools. And that's true, they do. And if you came into town and looked at condition of some of our schools, not all of them, then it's a head scratcher. So we all think our education system needs to improve here locally, but you have to put your money where your mouth is sometimes. So earlier when I mentioned that we're receiving $6 million less than in 2010, that includes the principal and interest payments on new borrowings
Right.
for the school system that the county pays for. So that's incorporating all of those new schools that we've built recently, the Bennett Senior and then Bennett Middle School. So. But we do. There are needs, and the staff goes through that, and they present to the board, and we look at and prioritize, the level of needs.
Yeah, I think infrastructure is important because even when I was struggling in school, if I was in a nice school, I somehow would come through. I felt like, hey, I'm in an important situation here, and I need to make the most of it. Regardless of what my teacher's doing. So there was an effect. The building had an effect on my performance, I think.
One of the most recent things I wanted to note is if you look at what's going on at the Choices Academy, since you brought that up earlier, that's an amazing change for that. And the teachers, if you talk to them, it's a different feel at the academy there when the students are in there. It's new. Granted, it's all portables right now. Eventually, maybe it'll be more permanent. But you walk in there like this is really the way you should be teaching students in an environment like this. It's really much better. And I think the students sense that and they act accordingly, I think, while they're in the schools.
And the Choices, those are students that are sort of in jeopardy.
Well, I don't know if jeopardy is the right word, but certainly they're facing challenges and they're there for a reason. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, one of the new things is the school board is on TV. We can watch the meetings now for the first time.
Right. Yeah.
And it's one of those be careful what you wish for, because everyone wanted to see the school board on TV. Now they're on TV, and it's hard to watch the meetings because they're not exciting.
They're boring. They're amazingly boring, which is probably what the staff probably loves having boring meetings. But from a school board, I was laughing with John Hall the other day, one of our county council members, and it sounds like the school board members, everything we talk about is, yeah, I'm all for that. It's it's like a yes squad for everything, but really a lot of the questions and discussions and the information that we receive and difficult and hopefully probing questions, happens, at the appropriate times. And I'm probably, because I'm a CPA, I'm a skeptic at heart.
Right.
And plus I'm a new member, I like to ask a lot of questions. I want to understand that something is sustainable. Is it money well spent? Is it being efficiently spent? Those are the kind of questions I want to ask about. What's the real need here? What are we trying to solve? And I think that's what the public wants to hear too.
The finance director, Bruce Ford, is one of the best people I've ever worked with in government ever.
Yeah, he's amazing. And they're also bringing along Jesse Reed. I think Bruce might have some ideas about eventually retiring. And
he's played that game before, but
you
can't let him go.
Well, and he's been there so long. He really knows. He's top of his game. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he does generally kind of appreciate having another CPA on the board, and because he knows I'm going to ask about financial questions. But he's been great, and I have a lot of respect for him.
And there's not a number that he doesn't know.
Right, off the top of his head, typically. It's really amazing.
Yeah, even in the construction area, he knows all the building committee numbers. He's very astute at all this stuff.
My guess is he probably works with those numbers so much every day, it's just part of who he is, and they'll be calling him afterwards saying, what was this number? And he'll just have it right on top of his head. So whenever he retires, I'm sure he'll be invaluable to Jesse Reed, who's they're grooming to, he's the controller right now. So, and he's also really special. He's got a great mind for it.
What do parents complain to you about?
I have amazingly had very few phone calls. A lot of people said to me after I was put on the school board, great, I know somebody on the school board that I can call and talk to about stuff. But there's a process for a lot of things, and by the time it gets to a school board member, it's been through 3 or 4 evaluations, including up through the superintendent. I really have not had that many complaints. I think generally, most of the people I talk to, even though they have concerns, they're generally pleased with the education their kids are getting. So.
Yeah, and my kids went through there, had great education.
Right.
Any problem with your kids?
No. Great education. They went to the University of Richmond.
Well,
they're both gainfully employed.
Hard to get in.
Yeah, and so they, we were very active, and to me that's the key. As a parent, and I talk to parents who are active, and that is the key to the education that their kids get. And unfortunately, and especially if your child has some challenges that you want to have addressed, it's so important to have. And I will say this, my spouse is a English teacher at Bennett Senior, and so I hear from her what kind of how many parents come to PTA night and that sort of thing. So, and I'm usually disappointed with that number that I hear, and so I think it's just all about what you put into it as a parent.
Right, and I think that's key. Now I know in Worcester they had a program there for a while. I'm not sure they still have it, that got parents to come in and sort of taught parents how to be parents of their kids in school. but I'm not aware of anything at Comico.
Well, I think there are some early parenting classes that take place through the school system offers. So, but other than that, yeah, I'm not familiar. If there is, I'm not quite familiar with that yet. So,
Right.
And there's a lot I still don't know about this school board. You know, I'm still 4 months in. I'm still learning. Haven't been through the first budgeting process, and with a fairly new superintendent too, things are changing really all the time, and so it. I'm not aware if there is one.
Right. I mean, I used to sit at the table every night and do homework with my son,
Yeah.
and just to keep him focused.
Right.
And I know there was the point there, I guess it was when he was in trig, where he got ahead of me in math, and I had no idea what they were doing. You know,
Yeah.
so I couldn't help him anymore.
I've been there too, by the way.
I could not help him anymore.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'm not going to do this anymore. But no, me being there still kept him focused and going. So the next
Right.
day there were no homework problems.
Right, it's just a great opportunity to connect with your kids, regardless of whether you're actually helping them or not.
Well, it wasn't always pretty. Yeah. But still, it kept me involved in the process, and I could help. It was all I could do to help.
Right.
You know, so if he failed, we both failed, I guess.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. You had that sense of responsibility there.
Yeah. I wish all parents were like that. I think a lot of parents are like that.
Well, when we have friends who have maybe younger kids than us, and they go through the difficult years, we're like, just hang in there, it gets better. You know, just don't give up on them. Just hang in there, just be there. Don't let them push you away, because you know how kids are at a certain
Right.
age, and they want to push away against the parents. They want to be more independent. Just hang in there, and I have a great relationship with my kids now, and they're adults, and you know, so it turns around.
One of the things that's been a criticism of the county school system is messaging, that there are so many positive stories going on, but people don't know about them somehow.
Right.
School board's made some changes in the communications office. You know, we're trying to see some fruition, but do you agree with that? Is it like they're not able to tell their positive story in the right way?
Absolutely, and I think it's starting to improve. And it's one of the things I talked about during the interview process. I really did not feel the school system did a good enough job of talking about the success. It's amazing what you hear at the school. One of the positives of the school board meetings is you hear constantly about some of the great stuff going on, how brilliant and bright some of our students are, some of the awards that they win, the millions of dollars in scholarships that are awarded to them for college. Right. And what, I mean, we had some national award winners here locally in our vocational education system this past year, and one of our teachers also. It's just really, and one of the things that we just found out last month was that our horticulture system is the #1 in the state.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. And I think it's starting to turn around. Paul's done a really good job so far, but he's really just still getting his feet wet.
Right, they're up at Parkside. I got to do a little story about them every spring.
Yep.
Because that's when they come together. They'll have like warm days, and then they have that really cold day is the day we go out there to take pictures always.
Right.
But it just amazes me that, you know, and in my paper I put all the positives. I print pretty much everything that they have that they want to get in. And there's so much positive news, and I'll point to the positive news to people, and they'll just sort of be like, yeah. But what about that fight that was on the bus last week? You know, they want to talk about stuff that is really disconnected but is negative.
Right.
Is it just human nature?
I think maybe it is, but you know, I think there is an issue that we need to do better about sharing the good news of our schools and how people, you know, are performing, how the school system is improving. They just finished some of their testing just before Christmas, and they shared some of the news. And the 10th grade English performance was up 50% over the previous testing that they had done. You know, and did we promote that? No, we didn't.
Right.
But that's an amazing number, and you kind of worry about, you know, maybe there's just a spike in that year for something. But
Well, you promote it, and then next year I'm going to write a story saying that it's down.
Right. And there's so much good news in our schools, and we have a lot of work to do, and I think there's some things we can really improve. So I'm looking forward to continuing that through next year if I get elected. So hopefully I will.
What's the relationship with the teachers of the school board? Do you get a lot of input from them?
Yes, actually, we have an open meeting for the teachers or representatives to come in and talk to us about their concerns. And it's so funny because I think it's funny. The teachers come in and they apologize for saying something negative. We're like, no, you're just expressing your concerns to us. That's what we want to hear. Don't apologize for that. And they also share positive news too, but things that they want help with. And you know, we take notes, and Dr. Hanlon takes notes, and you know, we do provide feedback after the fact to the teachers. It's a constant stream of communication with the teachers.
This is simplistic, but it seemed like over the years that so much of the focus was on teacher salaries, and I don't hear about that as much anymore.
No, you don't, and I think it's probably getting more fair right now. And I'm a little bit biased because my spouse is a teacher, but and I will say that I think that if you compare us to the other local counties, we're doing a fair job of paying our teachers. We still have the challenges. One of our biggest challenges we spoke at our last meeting about is hiring and retaining minority teachers, and so there's going to be a program to work on that to try and improve that over the next few years.
Yeah, there's just a story in the Wall Street Journal about the replacement cost on teachers when they leave.
Yeah.
How expensive it is for a system to replace that teacher, especially in an urban area.
That's right. It's when a lot of we have a real close relationship with both UMES and Salisbury University, and a lot of student interns come and work with the teachers. And invariably, if somebody comes from a different area, like, oh, they would be a fabulous teacher in our school system, and then they're thinking more maybe about going home. That's a real challenge for us, is keeping them here once they're here, and then also keeping the local students here who want to be teachers. I think there's some new innovative programs to start earlier while they're in high school, maybe, to those that want to teach, they know they want to teach, is sort of work with them a little bit and see if we can't get them thinking about getting their degrees and staying locally.
Yeah, my kids went to private school in the beginning, but then once my son was in 6th grade, he went to the middle school. My daughter was in the magnet program, so she went pretty much right to the public school. So I haven't really seen the need for the private school system around here, and there's so many people that are in it.
No, I don't have a problem. I think, everybody has their own interests and what they need, and there's room for everybody. So I really, I think we have plenty of really bright and athletic students in our school system. So there's room for everybody.
How are things at Lower Shore Enterprises?
Great. We're placing more people in the community with jobs. We are bringing in new jobs, so we both employ and we try to find employment for those that are developmentally disabled. We're growing. I think last year when I spoke to you, or maybe when I first became the CEO, we had maybe 145 individuals. We're now serving about 166.
Wow.
And so we're doing very well. We have a really large volunteer program to get people more integrated in the community as maybe a first step, and then looking for a job after that. So there's a lot going on at Lower Shore Enterprises, and things are going well.
Do I want to let my county council member know that I want more money spent on education? I mean, how do I do that?
You just pick up the phone or email them or call them or whatever, or write a letter to the editor in your paper. No, and come out to the meetings. That's really, when you have the budget meetings, that's really important. It can't be just the teachers. It has to be the general public. But also there has to be a reason to spend the money. There has to be a vision. There has to be, we're going to implement this program. This is what it's going to cost. Should we spend money on that? I mean, that's my view. You just don't say, here's $6 million more because it makes us feel better. There has to be a reason to fund it. And as long as we can provide that reason, that's my goal. And one of the other things, one of my concerns coming in as a school board member is you look at what's going on in the local employment market. The retail and food service jobs are going away. We have to be really responsive to getting students ready to work as they graduate. Not just, I'm going to work a cash register or serve food, which is fine. I'm not denigrating that, but there are other opportunities out there, and I think you're going to see more and more of that from the school board and for Dr. Hamlin.
And that's the key, that everyone has the opportunity, they can explore the opportunities.
Exactly, yeah. Perfectly said.
So if people want to reach you, how can they reach you?
Well, they can call me. I'll give my phone number. It's actually published. It's 410-726-3897. Or they can email me. You can find it online at Lower Shore Enterprises. I'll take those emails through.
And it's on the school board website.
Yes, it is.
Right there on the front,
Yep.
so it's good.
Yep, absolutely.
He's Bill Turner. He's on our school board, a new member. He's going to run for re-election. He made some news today. And he's in charge of Lower Shore Enterprises, which does a tremendous job helping a lot of people. Thank you so much for that, Bill.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassler from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper. Another edition of One-on-One right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.